Welcome to part 7 of our learning to play the flute videos. In this part we're going to talk about your first 3 notes, how to read the fingering chart, and how to play them. On your page 6 of your Accident Achievement book, in your top left hand corner there's a yellow box that shows you how to play those notes. And I'm going to talk about what that means and how that works. On page 46 of your book is a page called the fingering chart, and you can turn to that page now and follow along with what I'm going to talk about. On your fingering chart you have a diagram. So those diagrams made up of these symbols here in the middle of this display here. And it corresponds to your instrument in this way. This instrument is looking at it as if you're holding it. So your first finger is going to go right here, and your next finger here, and your next finger here, and then your fourth finger on this G sharp, or also known as A flat key. Okay, and then on your right hand, you've got your first finger, second finger, third finger, and then your pinky goes here, and your thumb goes on the bottom down here. So this is the same instrument, it's just turned. So if we look at the real instrument in relation to this diagram, here are those buttons as they correlate. Your first finger, second finger, third finger, okay? And then down here is just if you turn it just like this, and then it correlates that way. So that's kind of how it works. On the actual fingering chart, it looks like this, which is similar to that diagram we saw up here, but now it's just those buttons that apply to this particular note. So you have them as black notes or black filled in little holes, and that means those are the ones that you push. And the white ones are the ones that you don't push. For example, the first note that we learn is a D. And you know that because the name of the note is here. It says D. You need to know where the note is on the staff. This is the staff, the 5 lines used for writing notes. And this D is on the 4th line. 1, 2, 3, 4th line. That's where that note is. And then down here is the buttons you push and the buttons you don't push. So your first finger, you wouldn't push. Second finger, third finger, you push. And on your right hand, first, second, third. The pinky, you're not going to push. And on the bottom, you're going to push. There's the 2 thumb buttons, not this round one, but the other one next to it. Okay? And that's how you know how to play each note. It shows you on the fingering chart how to play that. This fingering chart again is on page 46 and 47, and it has all of the notes we'll learn in this year. So that D, just to show you on the flute itself, it says to push the thumb back here. So you have the round button, which is this part up here, and that pushes everything. And then it said not the round part, the little other part says to push this one, so on the thumb, so that thumb's going to be pushed. Then it says not your first finger, so here's my first finger here. I'm not going to push that one. I'm going to push the second finger and the third finger on my left hand, and no pinky. There's no pinky key on there. And then first, second, and third on my right hand, and I'm not going to use my pinky here. That's going to be up. So this first finger is still going to be used as an anchor, and this thumb here as an anchor, and my chin as an anchor to hold the flute correctly. Okay, but I'm only going to push the buttons I need. And then when you push the right buttons and you do all those things we talked about when we were just using the head joint in the previous videos, and then you play it, should sound something like that. That's what a D sounds like. And that's your first note. Exercise number 1 uses only the D. So, and then also, if you look at on page 6 on the top, there's a blue box. And it talks about a whole note. A whole note receives 4 counts or 4 beats. Either one. That word is somewhat interchangeable. So if you had a tempo, let's say this is our tempo. Right, tempo is these are beats. Each one of these is a beat. So you would play like this. Ta. Okay, starts at the beginning of the first beat. That's when you start, and you play all the way through. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, then you stop at the beginning of the next beat after the fourth beat. That would be 4 whole beats. And then it has a whole rest, and it says, indicates a whole measure of silence. I would rather think of it as 4 beats of silence. Okay, so you play 4 beats of silence, and you can look on your book there to see what that looks like. So yeah, in the blue box, you have whole note, whole rest. So if I were to play a whole note, if this is my tempo, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, ready, here we go. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so, and that tempo keeps moving until we stop playing, until the exercise stops. So on exercise number 1, we've got a whole note, then a whole rest, then a whole note, then a whole rest. Okay, and then and you have 4 whole notes and 4 whole rests. Okay, so I'm going to play exercise number 1, and I encourage you to try and play along with me. I'll count us off, and then we'll play. The goal is to keep that tone going the full 4 counts. Okay, and I'll kind of count on the rest as we go. Okay, so here's exercise number 1 on page 6 of Accent on Achievement Book 1 for flute. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the end of the exercise number 1. 4 whole notes, 4 whole rests. That's how you play it. If you're not getting that exact sound, either you're doing something not correct here, or you're holding your instrument incorrectly. You might be pushing a wrong button. If you're doing everything you're pretty positive right and it's not sounding right, you may have an instrument issue. Sometimes this is why it's really important to have a quality working instrument, because if it's not working correctly, you can't play. You can't learn how to play if it's not working correctly. So to be really clear, actually this flute was not working correctly. On my previous videos, it wasn't sounding very good, and I didn't know. And then I tried to play this note, and I couldn't play it. So I actually just got back from the repair shop, and he fixed my flute, and now it's working. So sometimes you really got to make sure it's working correctly. Okay, so that's the first note. The second note on there is also note. It's on so the top of the page in the yellow box. You have 3 notes. That note is a D. You can make sure you memorize that right now. You just need to memorize D and memorize that this is the fingering, right? Thumb, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thumb, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a D. You just got to memorize it, and you got to memorize that it's on the 4th line. Okay, just got to know that. Right now, it's 1 note you got to know. Okay, the next note on that yellow box is an E flat, and it's really easy difference from the D. You just add this pinky, right? So D, E flat. Okay, now normally you're going to keep that pinky right here. I'm not pushing it, it's just rested on there, and now I'm pushing it. No, I'm not, right? So you're just going to keep it right there as you're playing the D, and then you add that pinky, and you see it plays a different note. So you push the right button, form your embouchure correctly, it'll play the right notes. And we use that note in exercise number 2 in the book. So that has an E flat, and that has 3 whole notes and 3 whole rests. So you gotta still watch and know where you're at in the music. As you're playing the music, you look at the notes, right? So we'll play number 2. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the end. Okay? And then line 3 mixes both of those up. So you have a D for a whole note, then you have a whole rest, then an E flat, then a whole rest, E flat, whole rest, D, whole rest. And it mixes those up. Okay? So it would go like, let's play that one. Here we go. 1, to number 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You notice as I was playing those notes, I didn't. You don't have to push all the notes as you play it, right? It's not. It's hard to do, right? To try and. So what you do is you push all of the buttons you need to push before you play, right? And then when you're ready to go, you're pushing the buttons. You breathe, and you play, just like that sound, right? So breathing is important, and having the buttons pushed down first is important. And then when you switch notes, you just push the next button for the next note, breathe, and play the next note. Okay? And so that's how that works. Now, as we go to exercise number 4, we learn our third note. And our third note is an F. Okay? And the F is different because on the D and the E flat, we weren't pushing our first button. Now on the F, it's still going to be thumb, same thumb. Then you're going to push first button this time, second, third, and then the first button on your right hand and the pinky. Okay? So it's different than the others, and it's going to be a little bit higher. So we had D, E flat, and then F. So 3 notes, okay? And it's the same, and it has your fingering chart there on this page. So all of page 6 and all of page 7 has the same 3 notes, okay? Throughout that one. So on number 4, it says watch those rests, because in measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, measure 6 and measure 7 of number 4 has 2 rests right in a row. Okay, so let's play that one. Here we go. It's all F. It's all F. And ready? 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another rest. 1, 2, 3. Then you play. And then we stop. Okay? Now your goal throughout is to create a steady tone. You might have heard there at the end of that last note, it kind of fizzled off, and that's not what you want to do. I am not a flute player. I'm a band director, but I'm not a flute player. I just can help you with some of the sounds as you get started. So your goal is to create a super steady, super clear tone. Something like that. Not like this. Right? If it's mixing around like that, that means you're not blowing a steady enough air or fast enough air. Okay? So those are the notes. And now if you're playing and your instrument doesn't sound like what I was playing, then you're doing something wrong there. Go back, review some of the past videos, go back in your book, review some of the things we learned, and try it again. And then if you still can't figure it out, ask me. We'll help you out. So hopefully that helps. This was a little bit longer video than the others. Go back, make sure you understand everything in the past videos before we go on to the next ones. So that you can continue to develop those skills and make progress in band. So we'll see you on the next one.